Hi, I'm Dee Dee Bass-Wilbon,
And I'm Dina Bass-Williams.
and we are the Bass Sisters.
Yes,
Hello,
we
Dina.
are. Hey, Dee Dee.
What's up, lady?
I am ready for the weekend.
You are what you got planned for this weekend?
Well, as you know, last weekend Dalen helped me reorient my she shed. I moved from one
Mm-hmm.
room to another room, so gonna put the finishing touches on my indoor she shed. And yeah, we're also gonna do some yard work since the weather's breaking a little bit.
Oh,
So
Dalen won't be doing any yard work.
no, is
Oh,
Dalen
okay.
come? Is that no? Yeah, I didn't expect my niece to do any yard work, but no, LaForest and I are going to do a little yard work.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So,
Okay. Well,
what's
that
in
sounds
store for
good.
you?
Nothing. I just want to relax and finish cleaning out my office. So I did. I need to make it look more. I just wanted to just to. I think it's springtime, so it'll be springtime on Friday. Is the first day of
Mm-hmm.
spring on Friday or Saturday? But just going through some spring cleaning and just kind of opening the windows and all that stuff. Fresh air,
Yes, yes,
spring, new things,
spring.
new things. But at any rate, this is Policy and Pound Cake. We are so glad that you guys are with us today. And so we want to get right in.
Okay, so let's get down to some headlines. Actually, this headline comes from CNN, but I found it on our friend Elizabeth Hitos's Facebook page. She had a breaking news alert. I think it's something like breaking news: hell is freezing over, because CNN actually slightly gave Governor DeSantis in Florida a compliment on some of his, uh, COVID policies. It wasn't really a compliment necessarily, but they just
Mm-hmm.
acknowledged that even though people have been highly critical of his policies in Florida, Florida is actually doing much better than other states,
They
even
are.
though they have been open. Now, we're not
Mm-hmm.
advocating for super opening or closing. We're
Right.
advocating for each state and each family to do the right thing for them. But let's just look at a little bit of this clip from CNN.
Who did all he could to keep Florida open and is now getting a second look. So what are the facts? Jeff Zeleny is out front.
If you look at what's happening in South Florida right now, I mean, this place is booming. It would not be booming if it was shut down.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is standing unabashedly tall.
Los Angeles isn't booming. New York City's not booming. It's booming here because you can live like a human being.
A year after the pandemic began, Florida is not only back in business, it's been in business. And the governor's gamble to take a laissez-faire approach to coronavirus appears to be paying off, at least politically, at least for now. Now he's seen by many grassroots conservatives as a potential 2024 presidential candidate.
We are an oasis of freedom in a nation that's suffering.
His future, of course, depends on the outcome of the rest of the pandemic.
Okay, and the reason
Wow.
I wanted to pull that headline, thank you, Liz, for the hell freezing over, for
Right.
CNN pointing this out. But I wanted to bring that to our Policy and Pound Cake team's attention because one, it's not that he had a laissez-faire attitude about the virus. He had a
Mm-hmm.
very proactive, do what's best for your family, do what's best for your business, do what's best for the state attitude. And
Right.
people, like, we have friends in Florida who are, very successful business owners, and but they also have people in their family who are high risk, and they
Mm-hmm.
took every measure to wear masks when necessary, to social
Exactly.
distance, to do the right thing. But they also needed to responsibly run their business. So, the thing I will say about what I would hope that Governor DeSantis does, so there are rumors of, he's considering a 2024 bid.
Mm-hmm.
My advice to him from a media strategy and the political strategy would be, don't do what Cuomo did by taking victory laps now, because what we do know
Exactly.
about this virus is that we don't know anything
And
about this
about
virus.
this virus.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Exactly.
Florida's looking good now. Things are strong. They're making, they're on they're in terms of employment, success from the virus. They're doing well, but don't take a victory lap now, because we don't know what's going to happen on the other side of this virus. So
exactly. And things can turn around like with the drop of a hat. You know what I mean? And I'm hoping that it doesn't in a negative way. But you're absolutely right. Don't take that victory lap yet. Just keep, stay steady and continue to do what you're doing and monitor the things that they're monitoring as a state and as an administration for him. But yeah, let's not do another Cuomo.
Yeah, and continue to be smart. We know that this virus kills, so people in Florida continue to be smart. And it sounds like they're doing the smart thing, for their population and families.
Yep, absolutely. Wow. Well, yes. Okay.
So what headline do you have, Dee Dee?
Well, Dina. Okay, so you remember Teen Vogue? Well, when we were growing up, it was 17,
it wasn't
I
Teen
think.
Vogue when we were growing up. It was 17 magazine.
It was 17
that the teeny boppers read.
Right.
Remember
Exactly.
the August issue of 17, Dee Dee?
Dina, we could not wait to get the August issue of 17. That was just like that was beyond breaking news. That was like everything.
Your guide for fashion, for everything.
For everything. Well, anyway, so the breaking news right now, this is with Teen Vogue, and everybody's probably very familiar with Alexi McCammond. And you may remember her. She made headlines a couple of months ago when her boyfriend, who resigned from Biden's team for bullying a reporter who actually wanted to report on his relationship with McCammond because she covered the White House, right?
Right.
Well, when she was young, she did something really silly, as the majority of us have done things when we were young that were really silly that we apologize for. Well, she was applying, getting a job with Teen Vogue, and the chief people officer.
Not just a job. She was.
Oh, yeah. Not just a job.
Editor-in-chief. She was named
Editor-in-chief. Right. So this was huge. This was really, really big. Very young lady, by all accounts, bright and things, and her career was going in the right direction. But she made a mistake when she was 17. When she was 17.
And you saying it. She was 17.
She was 17. She was 17. And so the leadership, the Condé Nast leadership were all aware of this mistake or the comments that she made on Twitter, right? So let me find it on my phone. So she put out some tweets. Let's see. One of the tweets, I'm going to read them really quickly. One of the tweets, outdone by Asian, #what's new. The other tweet was now Googling how to not wake up with swollen Asian eyes. And the last one, it says, at 22, Austin Ruse 90. I'm sure I'm not reading that correctly. She was like an old Asian woman. LOL, LOL, LOL.
Yeah, again, she also she had some apparently homophobic tweets also as a 17-year-old.
Right. But again, she was 17. Mm-hmm. She apologized for them. She was wrong. She was hired for this amazing job. And those individuals that made the decision to hire her, they were very much aware of these tweets. Am I right?
Yeah.
She knew that the tweets were thoughtless.
I mean, the tweets came out in 2019, so
right.
So she made apologies in 2019 for the tweets.
Exactly. And so, my thing is, even the tweets were wrong, and even when if we didn't have this heightened focus on the attacks in the Asian community because of what recently happened in our home state of Georgia, in Atlanta, Georgia, just the other day, with 8 people losing their lives at the hands of that young man who just went in on a rampage in 3 different spas and started shooting and killing people. The tweets were wrong, absolutely wrong. But all of that doesn't change the fact that she was I hate using this word, but she was a stupid 17-year-old, which mm-hmm. all of us, everyone that is listening to this podcast was at one time 17, or you're currently 17, or a 17-year-old, but we were all there. We've all made mistakes. We've all done things that we regret, that we, felt really, really bad about. But she is now a 27-year-old young woman, fairly accomplished journalist who understands fully that she made a mistake. This country and everyone, we need to be able to give and extend grace, period. And Dina, you talk about that all the time. You talk about extending grace, extending grace. We have to extend grace. And if we can't extend grace,
I just don't
I'm
know
like, really?
where this
Like, Dina, today I'm sure that I did something or said something that I'm like, gosh, I really did not mean to do that.
But the point is that if you say something, if you said those stupid things at nearly 50,
right,
you should be held accountable for it.
Absolutely.
So that's how I feel about it. I think that she was 17, she apologized. And I even think that even at 50, if you do something, and we're not 50 yet, but we're
knocking on the door, knocking on the door. But Dina, even if you do something wrong and you apologize for it and you're sincere in that apology, I think that why shouldn't you be forgiven?
I think because our Christian faith is rooted in grace. So we believe in offering and accepting grace. And sometimes accepting grace is as hard as extending grace. So and I don't think we're saying that there, like, some things have consequences and there are penalties to bad behavior. No one's saying that this nut who shot these people in Atlanta, we're not saying extend him grace and just like say, oh, no harm, no foul. We'll extend you grace.
But what he did and what she did are two totally different things.
Right.
Totally different things.
He should, I just think that she was 17 and we need to extend her grace.
He committed a crime. He took 8 individuals. He took their lives. Right. That's heinous. She was on social media making comments just as a stupid 17-year-old. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure since then she has not made any comments like that. She, like I said, she's a fairly accomplished journalist. And when she accepted this job, she wasn't hiding it. Mm-hmm. She wasn't trying to say that she didn't put those tweets out or make those comments. She did not try to hide it at all. And so I think that grace needs to be extended, and everyone is so powerful when they sit behind a computer or a phone, and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And to say mean things about her and what she did when she was 17. I'm sure many of those people live in glass houses.
Yeah. And so, I guess the thing is, like, when will it end? We keep this cancel culture. When will it end? I will say this about her at 17. Mm-hmm. I'm a professional aunt, no kids. As I counsel my nephew and my niece, 19 mm-hmm. and 13, we should be training our children not to be that 17-year-old though, right?
Right.
So the lesson, absolutely. There is that lesson, not just don't put it out there on the internet. We should be teaching our children not to be like, what kind of, we attack policy, not people, but I don't want my niece and my nephew around young people who think and behave that way, because I think that's not a good spot. But they're 17 and we train them to move away from those kind of stupid thinking, that kind of negative thinking and racist thinking, quite frankly. So
okay, so we've talked about Teen Vogue and 17 and being 17. Now we're going to talk about policy, and selective outrage sucks as it relates to the border. If you haven't gotten your merch, go get your merch today that says selective outrage sucks. I think we have some of that in our merch. So get your merch today, anytime, colors, mugs, all different kind of colors and everything. But at any rate, selective outrage as it relates to the border, and our President Biden, I keep wanting to say President Trump, President Biden, I believe that his policies right now have been a little loosey-goosey in regards to the border, because he's been like his policy's been a little like a yo-yo. Come, don't come, don't come. And I probably shouldn't have said like a yo-yo, but I think it's been like a yo-yo.
It has been like a yo-yo.
It really has. And so, when the Trump administration, right now, I think there's been this bum rush of people trying to get across the border. And I think it's been that bum rush because of this yo-yo type of communication in terms of come and don't come. The Trump administration was very They were very stern, and stern in a good way, but they were stern in that, do not come across the border. Right? Don't come. Come the right way legally. Coming across the border illegally is not what we want you to do. And the Biden administration, they're just like, oh, come, don't come again.
Yeah, and they've been like, come, don't come. We're putting things in place. But if people hear that, they're
gonna come.
They come and they bum rush the border.
And they're bum rushing. And so right now,
what are the stats?
It's a very large number, Dina. It's a crazy number. I think of people right now. I think on March 8th, there were 3,200 migrant children were in CBP holding facilities, right? Which is already the highest number ever. And as of Monday, that number had grown. To 4,200. So that's over a 31% increase in 1 week. That's huge, don't you think? I mean, that's massive. That's cray in my opinion.
But that's not a crisis, right?
Are you asking me? I think that's a crisis.
It sounds like a crisis to me.
No, I think that's a crisis. Absolutely a crisis. And to me, because it is a crisis, President Biden and Vice President Harris, they haven't been to the border yet. They haven't been. I think they should go. I definitely think they should go. I think they should go because right now, there are a couple of things that are happening there. The conditions are deplorable. The conditions were not great and have not been great. Several reports that CNN and NBC requested to actually go into the facilities. And I think initially those requests were denied. They may have been granted in the last couple of days. I don't know for sure, but I know initially they were denied. But the administration hasn't been to the border to see kids sleeping on the floor, not being able to go outside. And it's being reported that some kids haven't had showers in days. You know what I mean? But the Biden administration hasn't been there at all.
And that's where, the selective
and that's
outrage.
A crisis.
Right,
Huh?
That's a crisis. And that's where we have selective outrage, because you cannot look at us and tell us that if these things were happening under not just a Trump administration, but a Republican administration,
it would be 24/7 all the time, every station, everywhere. Am I right?
This is the truth. And we're just
Absolutely.
saying, be fair, report, as Didi always says, report the news. And this is news that the Biden administration is taking a powder on this issue.
Right. So they're not going to the border at all. And then they're talking about separating kids. The Trump administration did separate kids. And guess what? The Biden administration is doing the same thing. Hello. So, the same results are in place, but it's perceived that the Trump administration did not have compassion, but that the Biden administration does have compassion. And I'm trying to figure out how. Like, seriously? Like, help me out.
If the results are this, actually, in many cases, the results are worse because people, as you said, are bum rushing the border.
They are bum rushing the border.
Because Trump is mean, his policies are criticized.
Well, you can't, people,
I know people perceive him as
being mean.
People say, but the policy, if the result is kids sleeping in cages, then it's kids sleeping in cages, whether it's Uncle Joe, nice, polite Uncle Joe, or
Sleepy Joe,
mean bully Trump. It's the same result. So
right, exactly. And so, when we talk about housing people, that are coming across the border, we can't house some of the people that are already here.
Absolutely. We have worked with, I was at HUD with Secretary Carson, and we know that for every one American who needs public assistance in housing, there are at least 4 more on a waiting list. So if there are 4 more on a waiting list, seriously? Right. If we can't handle the people in this country, then it's not compassionate to pretend that we can take this bum rush of people who are coming in. And this we do want to say, because I think that Republicans, and perhaps our messaging is not right on this issue. I don't know, but because we are perceived as, oh, we don't want people south of the border coming. We don't want, and that's nonsense. The issue is that we don't want people coming in dangerous situations where we cannot accommodate them. Period.
Right.
And that's why the Trump administration was so very clear: do not come illegally.
And Dina, it wasn't just dangerous for the people that were coming, but it's dangerous for the people that are on the border. You know what I mean? That are there working day in and day out, and again making sure that people are coming the correct way. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
There is not anything wrong with that, and so I feel like as Christians, as people who have compassion for people in dire situations, we need to be in prayer about this. We need to be in prayer for countries that have such poverty and such violence that people would make these decisions to come to the U.S. But we're not.
And also, right. Go ahead. No, I mean, and also making the decisions, because in some cases I know that a lot of the kids come with their parents, but then a lot of the kids are coming, or their parents are sending them alone, or the parents are coming and the kids are coming later. You know what I mean? And so, and having to make those decisions, I know that has to be a hard decision to make. But you're right. As Christians, we do need to be in prayer for that.
Some people mock us when we say, "Oh, hearts and prayers," but we fully believe that. We believe that prayer changes things. So we believe that as Christians, we should be praying about this. And just another
walking testimony.
Amen.
Okay, so Dina, you're right. We're going to have to stay in prayer, and as Christians, continue to pray for that situation. But before we get off the wall, I do want to talk about the letter that was written by a group of Republican senators. They wrote a letter to the GAO, the Government Accountability Office. And if you all remember, in the beginning of Biden's presidency, he was in the Oval Office like executive order happy. I mean, he was, going through a couple of cases of pen, signing those executive orders, right? And so in one of his executive orders, he signed an executive order freezing funds that were provided to build the wall. And he didn't have the authority to stop the funding. That's what the Republicans, in the letter that they wrote to the GAO, that's what they're telling him, that he did not have the authority to stop that funding. And at issue is whether that President Biden's proclamation directed an impoundment of funds in violation of the Impoundment Control Act. So basically the ICA, that means that Congress has the power of the purse, and Biden, being executive order happy, he gave, an elbow to those senators, to Congress, to take away that power of the purse, to stop the building of the wall. So not good. Not good at all.
On so many fronts.
On so many fronts. So,
and this is a crisis, whether they want to call it a crisis or not.
It absolutely is a crisis.
As you pointed out, with the numbers increasing at that rate, this is a crisis. The president needs to go down to the border, and the media needs to report it equally as aggressively.
Just report it.
As they did when we had these situations under the Trump administration. My hope is that very soon we'll be able to stop making these comparisons, but
I don't think so.
But we have to continue to point it out. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you should stop whataboutism." I have a friend who always calls me on my whataboutisms. But until I will stop whataboutisms when there's no more to what about. So
exactly. And again, just when it's equal, just report the news, just report it as it is. But those numbers, Dina, they're staggering to me. I was like, wow. A 31% increase in 1 week.
Crazy.
That is absolutely, that's crazy town. Totally crazy. So,
yep.
Well, that's it. You got anything else for Policy and Pound Cake?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Please don't forget to follow, like, and share. Tell the world about Policy and Pound Cake. And don't forget to get your merch. We have lots of really cool merch. And so you want to be in the know. I have on some merch today, but we have some really bright, beautiful merch. So go get your merch today. But definitely follow us at policyandpoundcake.com, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We
Absolutely.
will see you. Talk to you next time. Have a good one.